I never thought a traumatic brain injury would happen to me. It's the kind of thing that happens to other people. It happens in the movies, or it happens in statistics about football players or the military. Hi, I'm Natalie Kelly, and I'm a single mom. In 2010, I was living the life I'd always wanted. I had built a busy business with 8 people working for me. I had met the man of my dreams, and we were planning on getting married. We were taking a sailing lesson on a summer day when a storm came up. And we were in a small dinghy when gale force winds capsized our boat. I came up and spit my front tooth out into the lake and eventually was rescued by Coast Guard. My first brain injury happened by the fast rotation of the boat, where the boat twisted my brain and tore the lining. My second brain injury happened when the boat hit me on the head, knocking out my front tooth, hitting me first on the front and then ricocheting off the back of my skull. The third brain injury happened over the course of the next several weeks, where the doctor underestimated the severity of my situation, and I was laying in bed while my brain continued to swell against the bony ridges on the inside of the skull. And I remember waking up in about 5 days and thinking I should get food even though I wasn't hungry. And tried to stand up, but I couldn't stand up well. The ground was undulating underneath me. Everything was so visually distorted, I couldn't see down the hallway. It looked like it was 100 yards down. The floor appeared to be where my knees were. I was dizzy, I was nauseous. So I did the next logical thing, which was to try to drive to a grocery store. And walking into the store was completely overwhelming. It was like drinking from a fire hose. All the sensory information was so overloading. I was overwhelmed and panicked by the complete overwhelm of all the labels and the colors and the words and the sounds. And I tried to grab some food, but I was paralyzed and I couldn't move my arm. And I got really scared and went home. I know that every brain injury is very different, but there are a lot of things that are common with all of us. Cognitive issues, incredible mental fog is very common, and I had very thick mental fog, hard to follow one thought after another, hard to remember anything. And one of the things that I struggled with the most was a broken visual ocular reflex, which basically means my brain and my eyes aren't communicating very well about where my body is in space. Lights are too bright, noises are too loud, everything is overwhelming and overstimulating, and you just can't take it and you want to climb under the covers in a dark hole and hide. One of the biggest challenges of all of this is that on the outside I looked completely fine. I didn't have a cast on my leg, I didn't have a broken arm, there was no indication that my brain was broken, so people would come up to me and start talking to me as if I were normal. And this created so much confusion on my part of not knowing how to be in the world and not knowing how to communicate or explain myself. And that's really what most of us with brain injuries experience all the time. I went to my doctor and they did a CAT scan and an MRI and they didn't find anything, which is often the case with brain injuries. After 4 months, I asked to go see a neurologist, and he looked at me not for very long, decided I was fine and I had an anxiety problem, and sent me home. It probably took 6 months till I was told I had a brain injury. The losses continued, and after about a year, I lost my driving privileges, which made life as a single mother even more impossible and challenging. The hardest loss of all was losing the one thing that I was still hanging on to, which was parenting my child. And when winter became too intolerable to deal with all the whiteness and the lack of contrast visually, and I couldn't function at all, I had to leave my home for the winter, and I had to leave my son. And that just tore me apart. It's something that everybody with a brain injury experiences, is isolation, terror, and loneliness, because it's so hard to even be around other people, that you really need quiet and rest and darkness. And what you want most is a normal life and companionship, and you can't have it. Healing a brain takes a tremendous amount of work and energy. I had so many issues that were so entangled, it's taken me 5 years to untangle all the issues and really understand what was happening with me. I've had to train my eyes and brain to tolerate motion, and that has been one of the most challenging and difficult things I have ever done in my life. I have come a long way, and it's time for me to give back. I don't ever want anybody else experiencing a brain injury to be as lost and alone with such a dearth of information as I was. And I want to give hope to those with brain injuries that you can improve and you can celebrate every little baby step, and there is hope of getting better and making a meaningful life with the limitations we have.
When the waves came and when the storm raged, found myself falling into the ground. When the wind blew, that's when it fell through, and I don't know how to turn it around. I know there's more to me than the wreckage you see. There's more to me.